Sort of said before, there's 5 pairs, and the Binh Duong one is a bit different because there was a sort of a changeover from Wannon Water. So I've got sort of 2 hats today, a Wannon Water hat and a Westernport water. I've gone from one side of the state to the other. It's a long way, 8 hours 20 minutes if you just go to Ho Chi Minh City by flying. Don't underestimate that. And there's David to sort of say, then you've got to hop in the car and for how long is it, David?
About 2 hours to get down to the airport.
2 hours? Oh, well, some of them is about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're down the south, Binh Duong. It's the province just to the north of Ho Chi Minh City. Very successful province, a lot of industry in there. And there's where I was and where I'm working now. I'm not going to fuss it because Paul sort of talked a little bit about this before. This started off as sort of a collaboration, and it's grown. Right. Now, it's how it sort of started off. It started off. We got Paul rang round to sort of get some sort of buy-in from Australian water utilities, and 5 of us sort of signed up, and then. Took us off to Ho Chi Minh City to Viet Water, got introduced to our potential partners, and right from the beginning, this was a relationship made in heaven. We just clicked. Got to pay for this somehow. Thanks, AWP. Without them, this wouldn't happen. Then the following year, there was a sort of a formal sort of signing, but by then it was already running. Okay, so that's how it started. This is actually a couple of years ago, just to give you a bit of idea what it looks like. Paul put up the one before about what it's going to look like. That's what the display was. 3 years in a row, that's impressive, isn't it? And one of the reasons it wins the award is not because of what's there, but because of the people there who are sort of sharing what it's like in the water industry. Not just the products, it's relationships. Lots of people there, big delegation goes there, it's even larger last year. And as I said, from the beginning, we were right into it. And you can just look at the facial expressions. Okay, for our relationship with Binh Duong, we deliberately sort of said, okay, the subjects you've chosen are really big. Asset management, water quality, technology. Well, which parts? So we started off by sort of exploring an overview and then honing down to some small projects where we can get some deliverables. The priority areas for our relationship for them was asset management, water safety and technology. Which parts of that? And this is a partnership. We learnt in Australia things as well. They're very strong, this particular company, in engaging with their communities and in water loss, and there's a graphic coming up later. Not going to go through that in detail, but you get the idea that there are visits, and then in between the visits there's email communications and there's phone hookups. This really is a partnership. The chap in the middle is my former general manager. Simon was right into this. Again, look at the body language. So, lots of meetings, opportunities for sort of sharing ideas and going out in the fields. I don't have a pointer there, but this man here is the managing director talking to a plumber. They're just starting off in sewage systems. How do you build sewer connections in Australia? That's the level of interest that they're into. And Paul has talked a little bit about this. You will be overwhelmed by the hospitality and the sharing. Not only them taking you out for meals and things like that, but the gift giving and things like that. And it's all about respect and honouring each other. Now I said there was a graphic coming up. Oh, you can actually see it on the right hand side already. Right. That's a very impressive graphic, isn't it? From water losses of over 60%, and it's now down to 6.7%. This particular company, when they do something, they really get into it. And at the same time, there's been a massive increase in the capacity of their system. And that's one of the realizations, is that, yeah, we've got big systems now. How do we look after them better? That's why they're interested in asset management. That's why they're interested in drinking water quality. We've got the infrastructure. Now what are we going to do with it? Look at the source water. Paul said before, it's also the sewage collection system as well, upstream. That's the water they're starting with, and they produce really good quality water out of this. The plants are really big, they're massive. Partnership. I've said this several times already. That's with Wannon Water, just a thumbnail sort of sketch. So, changeover when there was the extension to the Water Utility Improvement Program to Westernport Water, which is where I work now. It's amazing what you can do with Photoshop, isn't it? That's us meeting in Ozwater, and we had the MD and the General Manager, pretty strong commitment from my new company, and the Managing Director came across from Vietnam, and again, right from the beginning, this really strong relationship. I go back one. Go back. I want to go back, come on. Next. Right. Now, that lady on the right-hand side, that's Miss Fong Tao. We ran a training workshop in asset management. Within a month, the chairman of BYSA had said, okay, I'm going to set up an asset management unit. And he appointed this young lady to be the manager of asset management. There's an example of commitment. Also acknowledging this isn't just a male-dominated position, this is getting women involved as well. And she presented with me. She's a very impressive young lady. Lots of managing directors and CEOs and things like that. This is a high-level commitment. Sitting down planning, and then out of that came, I've got to leave some time for you, David. Similar sorts of things. They're really great at developing new businesses. They actually run a fantastic cemetery, this company. And then they want to sort of continue to share with us about asset management and maintenance and water quality. The other thing down the bottom is that what's come out of this Water Utility Improvement Program is a very strong interest in, well, yeah, you talk about asset management, how do you practice it? What software systems do you use? So maybe Paul might sort of talk a little bit later. We are actively exploring about the possibility for an Australian provider for some asset management information system. And I believe David, likewise in the drinking water quality management as well.
Yeah.
Two Victorian companies, we've canned it, haven't we? Okay, oops, I've skipped through that. That was our program. I just want to finish up with some observations. I've obviously been in Vietnam a fair bit. I worked there for 9 years, which is where I met my lovely wife. And then we've had this year and a half of working with this partnership with WUP. So, 5 observations. First thing is, you will find your Vietnamese counterparts, clients, whatever you want to call them, they are really eager to explore. They want to understand and to look at opportunities. They're just as eager to get into it as what you are to provide. Paul said this one before. No, let's move on. Come on. Stop. Don't do that to me. How about that key? Oh dear. Why don't you work? What's happened to you? Okay. Paul said this one before, relationships do take time. I'm not sure who's going to sort of do the presentation when you arrive in Vietnam, but there was a fantastic chap who sort of talked about in Vietnam, this is not a business to business, this is more like working with family. It's like a relationship you develop with them. So don't sort of see it as a commercial relationship, see it as this is a social relationship. And it takes time to develop those relationships. Vietnamese are a very, very pragmatic people. They went through 50 years of war. They have to be pragmatic. And they're very progressive. Paul has said earlier on of how consistently and how quickly this country is developing. And that goes with this pragmatism. They get on with things. Respect, trust, being genuine. Loss of face is a big issue in Vietnam, and in fact all of Southeast Asia, is that you need to treat them with respect and trust, as well as yourself as well. And the fifth one, I'm just going to go through those dot points quickly, because I'm running out of time. Go back. We are very lucky that we're working with a company where Mr. T and the chairman, he is a trailblazer. He started off as a senior person in the company. He's become the managing director, and now he's the chairman, and he has led that company. Very strong leadership. I would say that in my time working in Vietnam, the success stories are the ones where you've got a strong leader in the company. So pick your targets. Look for those ones who you think are going to be the ones who are going to facilitate success for them and success for yourself. So, finish off, future, and creating win-win relationships. Thank you very much.